Hello everyone, the 316 here with a review of the Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse Blackest Night Wave, also known as the Atrocitus Build-A-Figure Wave. 4 figures, and of course Atrocitus in the middle being the Build-A-Figure. Each of these usually retails for about $25 or $24.99. But I got all of these for a very good sale. Almost all of them were half off from either Amazon or Target within the last month. I was going to do this review individually with each, but I thought, might as well do all 5 at once, you know? I mean, I have to do the Build-A-Figure by himself, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at just one of the boxes. So standard, typical Mcfarlane Build-A-Figure box. There's your width dimensions, almost 8 inches. Height dimensions, including the back, looks to be about 11. And then the depth of the package here, about 3 inches. I won't do those measurements again. Well, here's the back of the box. You can see what figure you received. Obviously, this one is Kyle Rayner's box, and that also shows you what Atrocitus piece you get. I really wish these Build-A-Figure pieces came with a card. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they just threw the card in with one of the figures. I don't know. Speaking of cards, each individual figure comes with a card, but Atrocitus doesn't. So since we just talked about Kyle, here's Kyle. It's a nice card. I will be coming back to look at these, but if you want to read that, go ahead and pause. All right, and then here is Batman's. And if you want to read that, go ahead and pause. Superman. And if you want to read that, go ahead and pause. Finally, Deathstorm. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause. So all 4 of them come with the card. Like I said, we're going to take a look at that again once we look at each individual figure. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start with... Well, I keep talking about him. Let's start with Kyle. Kyle comes with the... Let me reference the box again. He comes with the torso for Atrocitus. The torso piece also comes with the inserts for the arms. You can remove them. Actually, it does give a little bit more range of movement. But anyway, getting a little too ahead of myself. This was my attempt to put him in a flight pose. I think it looks okay. He definitely needs a flight stand if you want to put him in a flight stand. Anyway, other accessories he comes with. This really giant, like, greatsword. Like, this thing is huge. It's also kind of sharp at the end, so watch out for that. This might cut you, but again, just be careful. And he comes with his own Green Lantern power battery, which it's all right. Yep. So those are his accessories. I'll put those to the side. Of course, he comes with a stand, and each of these figures I am using the stand on. Let me put him in a neutral pose, and then we can take a look at the rest of this figure. Alright, so here he is in like a neutral A pose. This is how he poses when everything is, standard. You can move the biceps in a bit, and it gives him a more standard looking, just straight up and down pose, I guess. Static would probably be the appropriate word here. Now, one thing I don't like about this figure, and this might just be mine, might be yours too, is that these legs, when I put the mold together so it's all nice and even, he's got them deer legs. It doesn't look good. So I usually have to crunch this about 2 down. Just trying to find the right clickiness to that is difficult. This knee looks kind of weird, but I don't think it really breaks the sculpt. It just looks, it's just odd. And from a distance, you're not even going to be able to see that, but it's always interesting the way they cut these knee joints. The elbows are usually all pretty much the same. Speaking of which, those are double jointed and, fairly good. Actually, that's pretty good, all things considered. He can touch his shoulder. Another thing I'm not too fond of on this figure, and I think this is for all figures, but if, let's say you want to move this upper joint, you're going to see that in the middle here, it's putting stress on the torso here, and it's really deforming it and stressing it out, and it's giving it a stress mark. So be very careful. Also, if you didn't notice, this thing twists at an angle. and I don't know why. But if I turn this, 180 degrees, it turns at an angle, so you have to readjust it. And obviously, you're never going to pose him like this, but you see what I mean. Last thing I don't really like about this particular figure is the card he comes with, because while the figure is representative of this, if you look at the Green Lantern logo, that's usually the standard logo, but his was a little different. His had a bit of angles on it, They went from the tip here down to the center, so, when it comes to the card included, it does show what was in the comics, and yes, the comics can be not consistent, just like cartoons, but it annoys me when they come with a card and it's not the same as the figure. The hairstyle doesn't bug me nearly as much as the logo, or even the color green. I don't have any of the other McFarlane Toys Green Lanterns, but he's like a lime color compared to the other two, or three even. Parallax, Power Ring, they all have different greens. The green on him, though, I don't mind. Again, though, kind of wish it looked like what was on the card, but no, oh well. So we're going to go ahead and put him to the side. One last thing, though. He's got this weird stain on his butt. I do not know why. And, yeah, the paint is a little off, but, paint's paint, whatever. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and take a look at Batman. This is the first figure I received of the 4. And let's put him in a standard pose. He doesn't have the issue that Kyle does with the legs. Like, it is a little bit prevalent, but easily fixable. Just, you're done, pretty much. But usually one click to the bottom is good enough for me. Let's see here. Fix this. Okay, so right off the bat, when I opened this figure, I was very, very happy with how it turned out. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera, but the torso here and the upper thighs are more of a yellowish dark gray rather than a light bluish dark gray. And it's very easy to see in camera, but the rubber piece here is a bit brighter compared to the rest of everything. And just because these are darker doesn't mean it doesn't blend well. I actually think it blends very well in person. On camera, it's a little bit more visible. Now, one thing I noticed with the card, we're going to get to this, is that the logo is inverted on the actual torso. However, I think this is lighting up, so that's why that shows as black rather than white. Gives it contrast. So I think this is more accurate to just a standard look of the Blackest Night Batman suit. And you can definitely tell this Batman hasn't been working out. He's been I wouldn't say emaciated, but he is definitely skinnier. He's still got some muscle definition here and there, but he's closer to Robert Pattinson's Batman than he is to say not Keaton. That's Batfleck. There's not really much of a wash, if at all, to this figure, but I mean, look at that face. The creepy, just the two little beady eyes, and the skin tone on here. The flesh tone. It does have a wash on it, as well as the teeth. They did an excellent job painting that. Kind of creeps me out. The cape's nice and big. There are no cuts or wrinkles or holes in it, but on the bottom of the inside, it does have like nicks and places where maybe the threading's starting to pull up. You could easily add like a bit of a brown wash to this to just really bring out those details. What is nice here about this particular figure is they didn't forget the power ring. If we can get it to focus. You can see on his middle finger, he's got the little ring on there. And I might use a silver Sharpie to bring that detail out. But, yeah, posability is very good on this figure. You already saw some of it. One interesting thing to note here is that I do believe that he does use the old wrist hinge, but honestly, it's barely even noticeable, which is fine. He does use the new ankle joint, though, which is quite interesting, because you can't even see it in most cases. Posability in the head, I mean, Look at that. Like, that's exactly what you want for this particular figure. You know, because he is basically a zombie. Oop, I just tore his head off. Oops. It's easy to put back on, though. Just, there you go. All right. Yeah, one thing with this figure is that my waist joint here at the bottom can be a little hard to move. Definitely not as hard as Superman or Deathstorm's back there, but anyway, there's Batman for you. Probably my favorite of the wave. Now let's take a look at Superman, probably the most disappointing of the wave. First things first, I think overall he looks good. The silver they used is nice and shiny. They did a good job here with the head sculpt. I don't think there's anything wrong with the head itself. You can see his glowing red eyes. He's missing part of his nose. You know, his skin is receding a bit. You can definitely see like a bit of a skull pattern. It does have a bit of a wash, but isn't really picking up too well on camera. And let's fix him up there. He also doesn't really have the issue like Kyle does, where he's got the deer legs. I don't know why that Kyle was so bad. I might try to use a hairdryer. So as you can see on the midsection, like I was saying with Batman, it is kind of hard to move, but if you work at it, it'll be fine. Now let's take a look at the card. Now this card here shows it's pretty good, but there's a couple things. The main issue here is he doesn't come with a ring. Superman, Blackest Night, Black Lantern Superman, does not come with a power ring. What? How did that get missed? I mean, if this was based on the Earth 1 Blackest Night Superman, then yes. But this is based on the Earth 2 Superman, the one that died in Earth 1's universe, yada yada. Anyway, two more things. Because this is the Earth 2 Superman, he has the salt and pepper type of hair, which is missing on this figure. Again, I might try to add it myself with just like a silver paint pen or whatnot. Maybe even a Sharpie. Now, last thing that I really don't like about this figure is the torso emblem. It's just not, it's not good. Also, they forgot to paint the 5th line on the suit, which you can definitely see is molded there. And, you know, back there you can see Batman's logo. You got 5 lines and then the triangle. Obviously, with this design, the Superman's logo is a triangle, and the 5 lines are part of his cape. And they just missed one. So I will be painting that in at some point. Anyway, the rest of the figure, though, is nice. The cape, very tattered, and I like how they did that. So these two go over the shoulders onto the front, and then this one's right behind his neck. I may even try removing this one. The figure's almost completely unpainted on the back, although the legs and the boots do have a little bit of paint on them. You know, good figure. Again, reuses the old wrist pegs, but the ankle pegs are the new ones. However, on mine, on this side, it very easily splits. I'm not entirely sure why that is. You can definitely see I mean, it's easy to put together, but as soon as I go to move it again, it starts opening up. So I don't know why it does that. I try to fix it. Posability's pretty good. If you want to get them in just about any poses. I think the main one people want is like a flight pose. So let's do that real quick. Twist that up a bit. And yeah, he's got a pretty decent flight pose. I'm not too upset about that. I mean, you could probably fudge his head back a little bit better, but yeah, decent figure. Just it almost feels like this one was like, oh crap, we got to put in a 4th figure for this wave. We got Kyle, we got Deathstorm, we got Batman. Throw Superman in there. Forget the lantern ring, and forget 2 paint applications, and just kind of throw together the logo here. I mean, they probably had to make it a little bit bigger to facilitate, you know, the cape and whatnot, but probably the least favorite of the wave for me, but not bad. Like, just DIY it yourself, you know. All right, last figure of the wave that comes in its individual boxes, Deathstorm. And when I saw this figure, I'm like, damn, I want that. Having it in person, though, it looks like he's mostly just black plastic, but he does have some highlights in a like dark gunmetal, like dark gray gunmetal. So let's go ahead and grab the card, and we'll take a final look here. So first things first, he doesn't come with a uh, this like crown piece like Superman does. You can see the little bit of silver on Superman's forehead there. He doesn't come with that. Again, it's not that I don't like that he doesn't come with one. It's that if you're showing me an image from the comic book of this figure or of this character, and then you show me the figure is missing something from the artwork that you put in the package, pretty annoying. Like very annoying, in fact. Uh, and to me, it looks like on this particular figure, he has like sleeves. That might just be these. I don't know. But that's really the only thing I noticed. Also, his hands are completely black plastic. In here, they're a bit more of like a dark gray, matching more so the face. But anyway, that's really the only issues I have with this particular figure when compared to the card. Accessories wise, he comes with just the Black Lantern battery. Also, I forgot to mention that he comes with the head and the shoulder piece for Atrocitus. He comes with the legs, he comes with the arms. Almost forgot that, sorry. And the two of them don't come with accessories. That's kind of why I brushed over that. Anyway, paint-wise, it's pretty good. A little bit more subtle than the rest of the figures. You can definitely see that this is painted in a dark gunmetal. And these do have sleeves, but they are not like a very light gray color. They're all black, just like the rest of the torso and most of the legs. Boots, or rather the boot covers are in this nice gunmetal color, but the shoes of the boots are not. Superman's are painted silver, so why aren't his painted gunmetal? I don't understand that. Very strange. And I do believe he does use the new ankle. It's kind of hard to tell. It does look new to me. Let's try twisting it. This might be the ball joint. I really don't know. If you know if it's the ball joint or the new joint in the ankle, let me know. It's definitely the old joint in the hand, though. Speaking of which, his hand is massive. Like, let's compare it to Batman's hand, just for example. So here's Batman's hand, and here's Deathstorm's hand. I mean, doesn't Deathstorm's hand just seem kind of gigantic in comparison? I don't know. Sometimes Mcfarlane does weird things with their molds and makes hands either really large or even a little small in times. I mean, scaling's always been an issue, but it's just the hand's giant, okay? Like, he's got some big baseball glove looking hands, you know? Speaking of which, let's take a look at the power battery he's holding. It's nice and silver. Could also, if you want to repaint this, you could repaint it to green or any other color. But I'll just probably be keeping this on Deathstorm and using it as either a white lantern or a black lantern. Because they're basically interchangeable, just different colors. Anyway, let's look at the rest of the figure here. Pretty good. I think that the pants or the diaper blends in pretty well. You know, looks good from here to here. In person. On camera, it might not look as good. Obviously, it's a different texture between here and the torso. Nice, lovely shoulder pieces here. They're not sharp. They are rubber, a little bit harder, but not gonna poke your eyes out. The torso on this figure is probably the worst because, like, the upper section moves pretty well, but you have to move the upper section and move the lower section. If you just want to move the lower section, you really got to work it in. Like, it took me quite a while to get him to move. The torso logo is okay. I do wish it was more of an equilateral rather than a isosceles triangle or acute triangle. I think it's acute. Yeah, this is an acute triangle. It should be equilateral. You know, just a perfect triangle, right? The lines go here up to just towards the base of his neck and stop. I think that's pretty accurate in comparison. Although, now that I'm looking at this, kind of hard to tell if it goes over his shoulder or not. This definitely is a little different, so I'll give it a little leeway. But take a look at that face. Like that. This is a clear piece of molded plastic, painted with the face, and has highlights of like a very light purple gray, just dry brushed onto it, and it looks very nice. One thing that was disappointing with this particular figure is that he's not really good for flight poses. That's about as far up as his head's gonna look. He can look down very far though, like no problem. He does come with the black lantern ring, of course. I don't know why Superman was the only figure not to come with the ring, but you know, I think this is a good figure. Kind of do think that he needs a little bit of a repaint, especially on the hands, maybe on the upper, not shoulders, the biceps here. But otherwise, I think perfectly fine. Glad he comes with an accessory at least. Now finally we get on to the reason why I really wanted this wave, Atrocitus. I'm going to have to readjust the camera here. There we go. This guy is tall. So how tall you want to know? He is just shy, or not just shy, just over 9 inches, close to 9¼ inches. Yeah, this guy's pretty big. I'm going to lower this just a little bit. Try to fix this. So as I said, he comes with the arms, legs, head, shoulders, and he comes with the torso. It was very easy to both put together and take apart this figure. The legs, they don't come off unless you put some force into it. But it's very easy to get back on, and you definitely hear it click when it locks in place. The shoulder pauldrons, they come right off. You know, the head, that comes right off too. The arms, those pull right out. If you want a bit more articulation, just take out this tire looking piece and you get a bit more range of movement. And if I stick this back on and stick you back on there, you can see that in comparison, you can get his arm a lot lower on this side, a lot higher, and you got a lot more range here to work around with. And you can't really even notice that it's missing in there because it's all black anyway, so you're not really missing out. I think this figure is very well done. The rubber pieces on the red, they're nice and shiny. I believe they're molded in that color, although this is definitely painted red. The back of the figure isn't really painted all that much, which is fine. But this headpiece, I am just going to take it off so you can see up close. Very, very nicely painted. Oop. This doesn't want to focus either, but very nicely painted. It has what looks to be a darker red finish on the front. The eyes are a yellowish white. The teeth are nicely painted, not really too far off. Even the holes on his face, like where his chin are and where his cheeks are, those have a little bit of a wash in them. And speaking of wash, there is a wash on the edges of the helmet where the line work is. So they did a good job there. Articulation-wise, actually fairly decent. He stands up pretty good. He does have double jointed knees, which making sure I crunch them up all the way. His ankles go that far back, that far forward. They do pivot as well. Toes, pretty good. And because of how easy it is to put apart and take this figure together, decent amount of swivel at the top of the leg. His arms, not really a lot in the wrist. You can twist it, but I do find that the ball gets out of place. His arms will twist up pretty much all the way if the shoulder pieces weren't in the way. And you can mess around with it a bit more. Almost get it completely touching. And you saw the range of movement in there. He can twist fully there as well. And you can do 360, but you're probably going to take off the shoulder pauldrons if you try. Yep, boop, there they go. Anyway, I think that in comparison to my only other Build-A-Figure of this wave, or not this wave, my only other Build-A-Figure I own, the King Shark, I think they're comparable. Obviously, you know, this is 2021 and this is 2022, inflation and crap like that. I mean, I'm not going to say which one's better, but King Shark is still definitely the heaviest and probably going to stay that way, given the, the climates of inflation and whatnot. Anyway, yeah, pretty good. Build-A-Figure wave. I definitely wanted this, especially for Atrocitus. I still do recommend it. I think the deals are still going on Amazon and Target. Could be wrong, But definitely a worthwhile wave to pick up. I do recommend it. I hope they do some more Blackest Night figures. I know that there's a Necron Big Fig. Don't know if I'll be picking him up, though. I only bought this because I really wanted the Atrocitus Build-A-Figure. So, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you're buying these figures, if you have bought them, if you like them, if you don't like any of them, like Superman. Anyway, yeah, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Thanks for watching. See y'all. Peace.